Ruetoo's Corrupting Fever Champion is a top-tier map-blasting beast and will be the build I play again this league start, just like I did in Forbidden Sanctum. With a swing of your weapon, you send spectral copies forward into hordes of enemies, applying a physical damage over time Corrupting Fever debuff. In addition, you apply a bleed on hit, causing enemies to explode once you've obtained the unique glove's hemophilia. This build is great for those who want a map blaster that destroys mapping content, whether it's Legion, Delirium, or whatever degen strat you're farming for 62 hours on league start. But the build can be a bit iffy if you're completely new to the game, so I would recommend my Cold Dot starter if that sounds like you. League Start Corrupting Fever Champ has a fully fleshed out Maxroll article, and its upgraded endgame version has its own separate article as well, with full crafting instructions to boost your build's clear, damage, and survival to the limit. This isn't the same old League Start Corrupting Fever you're used to seeing from previous leagues. Rue has smuggled out a pay spin link to me from within jail with an updated setup that frees us from the chains of early league price gouging on T1 uniques like Poet's Pen. Now, we'll use 2 cheap +1 daggers crafted with dot multi, eventually upgrading into cold iron points. Instead of kinetic blast, we use spectral throw from level 1 all the way into the endgame, and whirling blades to quickly dash through packs of monsters. This change makes CF much cheaper to start and gives it slightly higher damage than it previously had, while only losing a little bit of clear speed. I'll still have the wand version as the upgraded endgame version in the Maxroll article, and you can always simply equip a Poet's Pen and shield if you ever do feel like enjoying that old playstyle again. For our main clearing ability, we use Spectral Throw, applying Corrupting Fever and Bleed to explode packs with hemophilia. On tanky rares, you'll cast Reap, making sure to save a use of Vol Reap for the map boss, where you'll attach a Storm Brand to tick and apply Corrupting Fever for you while you unload your Vol Reap charge, causing a pool of physical damage over time to erupt underneath your enemy's feet. Vol Reap will also empower your future Reap casts with the increase in max blood charges, so you'll want to make sure you continue casting Reap on the boss for optimal damage. We'll obtain a nice amount of recovery from things like life regen and life on kill found from the passive tree, and physical leech obtained later on from our belt or from a glorious vanity node. You'll boost your single target through auras like Pride, War Banner, Malevolence, and Herald of Purity, while boosting your defenses through Determination, properly rolled flasks, and simply being a champion with nearly 100% uptime on adrenaline. Champion is the best Ascendancy for this build. Because of its sources of free damage and defense, it creates a perfect combination for our league start Corrupting Fever. First to strike, last to fall allows you to trigger the low life state by pressing your large life cost Corrupting Fever, in return giving you adrenaline. You get to obtain this very powerful buff all the way from Act 3, which gives 100% increased damage, which physical damage over time builds are severely lacking early on, 10% physical damage reduction to assist in early fizz mitigation, and 25 attack, cast, and movement speed, making our leveling and map clearing smoother with the speed increases to attacking with Helix, Whirling Blade, and casting with Reap. Champion also obtains Unstoppable Hero and Fortitude, giving a free 20% less damage taken in the form of 20 fortification stacks and 20 attack speed and stun immunity for that buttery smooth mapping. Your Uber Lab will be inspirational, giving 30% aura effect, which is a massive damage and defense boost, while also providing a free ward banner, freeing our mana up to equip Malevolence in the mid game and Herald of Purity in the end game. This build requires a slight respec, where you'll have a few random passive nodes you'll have to use your first regrets on, but it's more than worth it for the better and smoother leveling experience. We'll level this build as Spectral Throw, picking up War Banner and Ancestral Protector at level 4, using Leaf Slam and Frostblink to quickly traverse through the early campaign acts. In Act 2, you'll pick up Herald of Ash and Purity to boost your damage, Blood Rage to give attack speed and frenzy charges, and will curse bosses with Poacher's Mark, giving some flat damage and life on hit. You'll want to level a Corrupting Fever from Act 1 in your weapon swap as you near the end of Act 3, because you'll finally have access to your first lab, which you'll choose first to strike, last to fall, giving you the adrenaline buff when you fall below 50% HP, which you will with the press of Corrupting Fever. Through the leveling experience, your Corrupting Fever may change in HP cost as a percentage of your life, and may require extra links or fewer links depending on the gem levels and how much life your character has. But the worst case situation is you just press the button 2 times if its cost is too low, so that you always have that adrenaline buff up, making your leveling so much faster and so much better. At the end of Act 3, you'll also want to pick up Reap, Brutality, Vulnerability, Malevolence, War Banner, and Herald of Purity to level in your weapon swap for the Respec. Simply grab a 3 red weapon and a shield with 2 red and a blue to put in your weapon swap to level these gems. You'll continue to level with Spectral Throw until around Act 9 Blood Aqueducts, where you'll want to make the CF swap. For this, you simply need the leveled up gems and 2 daggers with +1 to physical spell skill gems or just spell skill gems. Then you'll be using the mapping skill gems setup to blast through the early mapping. After that, you'll be picking up some great early uniques to get you ready for mapping. The first one would be Hemophilia for the explosions. Although you don't really need these until red maps, they're still very fun to play with early on if you can get them. Honor Home, a unique helmet to put your Corrupting Fever into for the free +2 levels, giving you more damage. And lastly, a Mark of Submission to easily apply your Vulnerability curse on hit, increasing your clear speed and ease of play. Your early game gearing is very simple. Just obtain the previously mentioned uniques, roll a Quicksilver, Granite, Jade, and Silver Flask with armor, evasion, reduced effective curses, and attack or cast speed. Making sure to enchant them with use on full with 20 Glassblower Baubles and instilling orbs on the crafting bench when you have the chance. Your weapon will be the 2 +1 Fizz or spell skill daggers, and on these you'll craft physical damage over time multiplier, which you'll use until you can purchase 2 cold iron points. On your amulet, you'll want to pick up damage over time multiplier and anoint acrimony with 2 black oils and a clear oil for the extra dot multi. Every other gear slot will be life and resistances, making sure to obtain some small amount of chaos res where you can. In the mid game, you're going to start squeezing higher tier resistances out of all of your gear slots and trying to get your stat needs on your gear rather than from the passive tree. Make sure to obtain the Gravicious Unveil on your body armor and the reduced effective shock craft on each ring to provide shock immunity. You'll roll your helmet implicit for physical taken as fire and vulnerability effect, and your body armor for the malevolence aura effect and generic aura effect. On your amulet, you'll have either dot multi or +1 physical skills, and if you can, squeeze a little bit of resistance or stats out of your amulet slot, making sure to obtain useful bases like a turquoise or onyx. In your belt, you'll want to pick up the physical variant of Doriani's Invitation for its physical leech modifier. Alongside its resistances and global physical damage, it makes for a great belt for early league CF champ. Most modifiers will specify physical attack damage, but this belt gives generic physical damage leeched as life, so we can leech off of our Reap, which is a physical spell. The largest upgrade in this gear set is the purchase of 2 large 8 passive physical clusters and some rare jewels to fill them out. You'll want to obtain these 2 large 8 passive clusters with 1 or more notables, but on league start, you should settle for just 1 notable, rolling it yourself with Jagged Fossils or purchasing it off of the site from another player. The increase in damage from other notables is just not worth it early on, and you can much better spend that currency on other upgrades. Now, you have plenty of room for rare jewels, which you'll fill with global physical damage, Fizz.multi, generic .multi, or other damage modifiers. You have 7 total rare jewels to buy, so some of them can meet your stat or resistance needs, but early on, most should be used for damage, as these are the places where we obtain most of our damage early on. The end game of Corrupting Fever Champion takes its damage and mitigation up a few notches, and with the addition of corrupted cold iron points, makes your weapon slots so dense with damage, with each giving +3 levels and 60% increased damage over time. You'll also be using a 4th vow chest piece and obtaining the Zebakwa Conquered Glorious Vanity, providing you with a large amount of elemental mitigation through Divine Flesh's 50% of elemental damage taken as chaos, and 4th vow allowing armor to work against that chaos damage. On your Glorious Vanity, you'll also obtain a specific seed to change the stat nodes below Templar into a physical leech node to replace your Doriani belt with a rare one. An article on how to find these seeds will be linked down below. This gear set also squeezes in a Herald of Purity by getting vulnerability on hit corrupted onto Hemophilia, getting a reservation enchant and implicit on our helmet, and the Mana Mastery by Scion. This lets us squeeze in just a little bit more damage from our Herald of Purity. Further damage upgrades are getting denser and better rare jewels, a corruption on your 4th vow, which would be a +2 duration or +1 socketed to give an extra level to your empower, or on the budget end, a +2 AoE, which only provides the levels to reap and not CF. Lastly, you can purchase Awakened Gems to socket into your combined reap and CF 6-link chest. Anyways, let me know if you're league starting Corrupting Fever Champion with me, and please subscribe, please, so I can finally find a cure to my blindness. Anyways, thanks, bye!